What's up, ladies and gents, Noli here, and welcome to another Raid World War II video. Really excited to show some of my own personal gameplay here for the first time on the channel. This is the heist, or raid I should say, Hunters. I have just done a previous recording, which I chucked in the bin because I repeatedly confused raid and heist. It's going to be very hard for me to get out of that habit. I apologize if I do. I'm just going to ignore it instead of repeatedly correcting myself if it occurs in the future. Anyway, this is Hunters. It's personally one of my favorites. There are only 3 raids in the game right now, but this is without a doubt the best one for you guys to play if you're looking to level your characters up. It gives you 9,000 experience, which will take you from level 1 to level 5, from level 5 to level 8, and from level 8 to 10. And I'm showing you how to solo stealth it on very hard difficulty, which means you can do it with any character at absolutely any level, because there are no stealth perks, except for maybe crouch speed, but again, not hugely important really. So it's a great leveling guide as well. But interestingly, whether this is purposeful or not, when this particular raid does go loud, especially if you've sort of half-stealthed it, it seems like they barely send any enemies at you. That you're going to be shooting more special snipers than you will actually ground enemies. So I'm not sure whether maybe there's a couple of issues with this on loud, or maybe it's just designed to where you're meant to take out the death camps and not actually have to worry with anyone parachuting down. But I've had some very easy, very hard raids on this particular raid, so that might be something that Lion Game Lion have to address. But if you guys are looking to do it very legitimately here, assuming there is something going on, if you just want to level up, be my guest, do try and do it loud and see if you find it as easy as I have been. But if you want to do it silently like I'm doing, this is the guide for you. So I'm going to walk you through my strategy. I will be talking at some point, and I will touch on it at times in this video. My sort of first impressions of the game. You guys will get an idea. The long and short of it really is I have had a fair amount of fun with it. There are certainly glaring issues. There are a lot of highs and a lot of lows, I would say, and there are a lot of things in between where it's basically just Payday 2, which for some people is a huge low. For me, I've been looking for something that feels like Payday 2, is basically Payday 2, but is a bit different for a really long time, and that's what this is. So I've been getting a kick out of it, I must admit, but I can also see a lot of reason for some of the criticism that has been thrown around aimed at this game. One final thing just before I go into the tutorial part, this gameplay is spliced together. This is one of my first successful solo stealth attempts, but it's also one of the most thorough, so I did want to show it off. But it was about 20 minutes long, so I decided if I cut it down, I can get it just over 10 minutes, and hopefully it'll be a little more manageable for you guys to watch. Hopefully it's not confusing cutting from place to place. Mainly I've just cut down carrying those heavy bodies, but here's one big example of a cut. I essentially just wait for one of the patrolling guards, which I will get onto in just a second. So as you saw, that guy was one of 5 men that were automatically outlined in yellow, which I would say is a little bit too great an advantage for stealth. But oh well, I will absolutely take it. But yes, he's one of the 5 guys that will appear. That's only on very hard difficulty. I think it's 4 on hard, 3 on normal, and so on. So basically, one of those 5 guys in the death camp is going to be a patroller, and he will do small patrols around the death camp he is located at. He is the most important one to take out first. After you do that, you can basically chain stab the next 4, one after another, stabbing them all in the back without anyone noticing. And that is essentially the key to completing this raid on the very hard difficulty. Of course, these death camp soldiers are much stronger than regular soldiers, so if you do decide to go loud, they will be some of the only challenges you will particularly run into. They're also situated around MG nests, which is, of course, a bit of an advantage to them. So I do recommend, especially if you're here for a little bit of role-playing, testing out stealth, give this one a go in the fashion I am showing you right now. Now, the key is these death camps are the mission objective, but they are not the main thing that are going to cause you problems on stealth. It's more like the bloke that I just stabbed then who is going to cause you the issues. These are wide map patrollers. They will patrol all around the map in what is a fairly set pattern that will take a little while to wrap your head around. It's not completely set. They will walk in different directions. They will go to different places. They will not just walk like absolute carbon copies of each other, which I am pleased to say. And of course, with the new somewhat detection noticing system. They will react and pause if they think they see a body or they think they see you. I am somewhat impressed by that. In some ways, I think I prefer it to the Payday system. In other ways, I feel like they should have gone much, much further. And here's a funny example of stealth in this game. So I accidentally stood up behind this guy, and apparently that made a ton of noise. He turns around and sees me, but the AI is just a little bit clunky, a little bit clumsy, and for some reason, he does not shoot at me, and he lets me stab him 4 times in the face. So I remain in stealth, and that is the beauty of the stealth system. I feel like I deserve that. I definitely did not feel like I deserved to be detected for that slight press of a spacebar, and I did get away with it. I suppose there's an element of realism there, but I'm not even going to go into that as far as Raid is concerned. But again, back to the tutorial. If I can get my sentences out. As you can tell, I think you can tell, I have been having fun with Raid. I'm quite excited about this game, but there's a lot of discussion as to what Lion Game Line could potentially do to improve it before its release. But yeah, these are the key enemies, the ones that patrol around the outside, and what I recommend from the get-go is head towards the castle, or the destroyed castle we're stood at right now. It's towards the right of where I spawn. This is the ideal place to head guards off from 2 particular choke points, this one where I'm heading down to now at the river, and the other one at a bit of a bridge. Guards will constantly be heading backwards and forwards through those, and it's very easy to take a bunch of them out. Once you've taken, say, maybe 5 or 6, if you're being quite cautious in your stealth, you should have enough time to take out the first death camp, as you saw me do before. Then, again, hold your ground, make sure you take out a few more. There will be a fair few patrollers on this difficulty, and once you've done that, you will not be in a huge, in any trouble at all, really. Here's a great example of me moving away from my initial camp I've taken out. Another guard strolling in, not noticing any of the hidden bodies, but sort of being somewhat suspicious from the tour through the camp, and me being able to run over there and take him out before it is a problem. So that's why it is reasonably beneficial to hide bodies. However, I have found in my practicing of this mission, I can cut it down to about 10 minutes, maybe even just over 5 if I'm very efficient with my sort of pseudo-stealth, taking out enemies really quickly, walking through the camps very, very rapidly, taking them out 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the patroller, and then trying just to keep the patrollers down wherever possible, not even bothering really to hide bodies, and relying on the word I said before, pseudo-stealth, which has somewhat existed in Payday, but exists more notably in this particular mission, because once, and this is the reason I said head towards the castle, because it's the most sort of far-flung region, once you've taken out an area like that, any guard that discovers a body will be alerted. Now, they don't have radios on them, and apparently don't really have the brains to run to the nearby radio in the camp. They will instead just sort of stand there and ponder what has occurred. At that point, you can run up to them. You'll see it a little later on where he doesn't actually completely spot me, but he is alerted. I stab him in the back, but sometimes they can shoot at you, but because the raid map is so expansive, these guys at the other 2 camps will not hear a thing, which is cool. I'm not sure how well it stretches realism-wise, but I kind of like the idea of that functioning. It definitely makes this raid an awful lot easier. You can be very careful, of course, and just take your time and hide the bodies, but if you're looking to do it a little bit faster, if you're looking to get those levels quicker, you can afford to be a little more fast and loose with your stealth, especially if you follow the sort of idea that I have been doing in this gameplay, and that is holding down an area, making it into my own sort of death zone. And I'm a huge fan of that. Being able to take out all these enemies is completely unlike anything we've seen before in Payday 2, and it's the freshest stealth experience I have had while playing Raid. Once you've done that, it's a simple case of taking out the other 2 camps. Now, like I said, basically the patroller is the only one that's important, so I've done a little jump cut there to wait till the patroller came close. I knew he'd come round here because this particular patroller does a much tighter circle around his own camp. He will basically repeat the same circle over and over again. You can take him out once he's out of sight of all the enemies, and again, it's just a case of chain stabbing them. And then I've just got one more camp to deal with. The beauty of this is you can literally take out every single enemy on the entire raid map, which means you have as long as you want to explore. I spent about half an hour exploring this, and you'll see at the end just how many dog tags I collected. I really searched, by the way, and I think I only got just over 60%. So these things are very, very well hidden. But of course, getting more dog tags increase the bonus experience you earn at the mission. Again, this is a great experience gaining mission, and it also gives you a great chance of getting some of the rarer items, some of the cosmetics, and the new melee weapon I think they added in yesterday's update. So there we go. This is the ideal heist for basically doing everything. There's some super fast mode. Don't think I've ever actually used that in a video before. Here we are shooting. As you see, this guy notices something. Of course, there's a dead body in that corner. He's just standing there looking at it like he's a melon. There's a fully charged knife in the back of the head. Even on very hard, these patrol guards are basically the standard guards you'll find in Payday 2, and they're fairly easy to take down, like I said, even on those harder difficulties. And there we go. This is the final camp if you get one by this river. This is the patroller, by the way. He often likes to go for a... he likes to relieve himself in the nearby river. Take him out. None of the gory details, thank you very much. And it's simply a case of taking out these 4 guys and mission over. And then I have a little explore, as I mentioned. There you go, guys. Like I said, first impressions. I'm enjoying the game. It has a ton of problems. If you guys saw my recently uploaded video, Odin's Fall is basically broken in stealth 9 times out of 10. I've had a ton of issues getting through the first half of it and then getting basically stuck because there's 7 guards stood in one door that do not move. It's always good to see. But I found far fewer problems with hunters, so if you guys are looking to try out the stealth in this heist, or in this game I should say, definitely give it a go. If you liked Payday 2 and you're not burnt out on Payday 2, you will most certainly enjoy a lot of elements of Raid. There's one thing I would say that's definitely going out for it. I like the setting, and I do quite like the characters. They don't always have the best voice lines, but they're always fairly well delivered. There was one thing I would say is the diesel engine is struggling a little bit. It's looking like a 4-year-old game at the very least. And unfortunately there are a fair few bugs, but that's to be expected from beta, and it just doesn't look that great. But I do like the aesthetic. I just think it could look graphically so much better. Looks and feels a lot like Payday. Still having a ton of fun with it. Really look forward to its overall release. Here you can see my reward and the experience we gain. And like I said, this is my recommendation. It can take maybe an hour and a half to level up all 4 of your characters to max rank, which is currently 10, and try out all those brand new proficiencies. Guys, I will see you all in the next video. I hope you guys are enjoying the beta. Let me know in the comment section what you guys are feeling so far.